Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? Yes. You're knowing what you're wanting? Are you enjoying the expansion of your personal desire? That's a good thing. Because if you are enjoying your own desire, that means that your beliefs are somewhere in the vicinity of them. If you want something that you see no way of it ever coming about, those desires don't feel so good, do they? That feeling of doubt or insecurity is unpleasant. And that's what happens when you have contradictory thought going on within you. I want this, but it can never be. Painful and untrue. Painful because it's untrue. Because you have the ability, because of who you are, and because of your power of focus, and because of the laws of the universe, you have the ability to focus anything that you desire into reality. You can't create for others, but you can create anything. You can be or do or have anything that you define as something that you want, as long as your own thought does not contradict it. And that's a really interesting thing, because sometimes you want things that you just don't believe. Sometimes you believe things that you don't want. But the most important factor is, what is your belief? Because your belief is your most practiced thought. When you think a thought and hold it as your point of focus for as little as 17 seconds, another thought like it joins it. Law of attraction brings that thought to you. And while the law of attraction is working in the background at what you might consider to be an unconscious level, as you focus upon things and focus upon them longer, eventually you think a thought often enough and long enough that it becomes a dominant thought within you, and that's what your beliefs are. And your beliefs equal your point of attraction, because what you're thinking is causing you to emit a vibrational signal that law of attraction is answering with things like it. And so it's easy to understand how beliefs get so rooted within you. Some of the beliefs that you hold are very beneficial to you, some not so much. But it's easy to understand how beliefs would become so rooted, because when you think something long enough that it's a pattern or a habit of thought, then things begin to actualize around it. They begin to demonstrate around it. So what you believe happens, and then you believe it more. As you listen to other people talking about what they believe, and you see them demonstrate it, then you believe it more. Esther argued with us in the early days of our interaction. She would say, Abraham, it's true. That's a true thing. So don't you think? I've been trained, she said, to be objective, to weigh the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses, to be balanced in all things, to give my attention, to be objective. It's a true thing. So shouldn't I at least acknowledge this true thing? And we said, anything you acknowledge, anything that you focus on, you are practicing a vibration. You are practicing yourself into a pattern of belief. And that pattern of belief therefore equals your point of attraction, and therefore becomes what you are demonstrating or manifesting in your life experience. And therefore, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we said to Esther a lot, and we're saying it to you, we would focus upon those things that we want to manifest. We would focus upon those experiences that we want to replicate. Anything that you want plenty of in your life experience, give your attention to it. And the things that you do not want to perpetuate in your life experience, or even upon mass consciousness in general, withdraw your attention from unwanted things. But now here's a very interesting thing. There's no such thing as no in a universe that is based upon attraction. This is an inclusion-based universe, which means the things that you look at, that you want, that you say yes to, you include them in your vibration. They become part of your attraction. But those things that you don't want, that you shout no at, you also include in your vibration, because the universe is not differentiating between the word yes and no. It is only differentiating between your attention to it or your not attention to it. You see what we're getting at? So you can shout no all day long at things you do not want, and they come to you stronger and stronger and stronger because of your attention to them. Isn't that a good thing to know? So what do you do? What do you do if you don't want that thing? I don't want that thing. I'm not going to think about that thing that I don't want anymore. That thing over there. I'm not going to think about that anymore. I'm not going to think about that anymore. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm thinking about it. I don't want to think about that thing. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. So what you have to do is think about something else. You think about other things. You just gradually, it takes a little bit of time, it's gradual, shift your attention more and more to things wanted, and therefore not so much on things not wanted. But it's not an instant transformation. It's a general, gentle transformation. And it's helpful to understand what makes it easier and what makes it more difficult. So here are the laws of the universe simply explained so that you can understand how it is that things are coming to you or to others because of your attention. So when you give your attention to something and you're thinking about it in very general terms, in that general attention to it, there is less momentum. The more you think about it, the faster the momentum. So when you've given your attention to something, your undivided attention to something, and you've given your attention longer and longer, law of attraction just fills in more and more details for you. And the more detailed a subject becomes, then the stronger your point of attraction is. The more general you are, the less. And so when we talk about law of attraction, we have to use the word or put the word momentum into the equation, because if you understand that law of attraction and momentum go together, then sorting this out will be a very easy thing for you. The best momentum story we have, Esther was amazed when she first saw the streets in San Francisco. Didn't seem possible that people would want to drive up or down them. They were. There they were. Imagine putting your car at the top of one of those hills, taking it out of gear, taking the parking brake off, and just for fun, just to see if the physics of this universe are still in place, you decide to just bump your car a little bit from behind, just to see what might happen. Well, it starts to move, but you come to your senses right away because you've been around here long enough to know about gravity and inertia. So you step right out in front of your car and it bumps up against you and the momentum stops, and it was easy to stop because it was very slight anyway. But you wouldn't want to be at the bottom of that hill stopping that momentum. So law of attraction is the same. The more time or attention that you've given to a subject, the more momentum it has, and you are not going to stop that momentum all at once. But it is important to know that while you sleep, the momentum of your thought does stop. While you are asleep, you are not encouraging the momentum. It gives you a sort of reprieve from unwanted momentum. And when you awaken, you have the ability to begin it in the direction of things wanted. That's just a little tip from the universe. That's just a little fact that may help you if there are thoughts that you would like to begin thinking in a new way. Don't do it at the end of the day after something has gone wrong that has your attention. In other words, when you're really upset about something, that's not the time to deal with it, because dealing with something that you are upset with only increases the momentum of it. It gives it more sticking power. So there are two things you can do to slow momentum. Many more than that, really, but two things that really work well. One is go to sleep. That stops momentum. Don't sleep all day, just occasionally. And the other is you can meditate. When you meditate, you quiet your mind. When you quiet your mind, you stop thought. When you stop thought, you stop momentum. Gives you an opportunity to come into alignment with who you are. And there is one more very important thing that we want to say to you. You are source energy in these physical bodies. Do you know that? There is a trajectory, there is a momentum of well-being that is very powerful, that without knowing it, you've been practicing hindering with contradictory thought. So when you meditate, what happens is you quiet your mind, and your natural trajectory, your natural momentum then can have more effect in your experience. It's like, imagine a cork bobbing on the surface of the water. That's pure positive energy. That's absence of resistance in this analogy. Now you can hold that cork under the water. I don't have enough money, or I'm really mad at that guy, or that person did something inappropriate, or I don't like the way you spoke to me, or I don't like the way that came down, or I don't like what's happening in government, or I don't like what's happening, or I don't like what my children are doing, or. You can hold that cork under the water in disapproval of something, in negative attention to something. But when you are distracted from that subject, like in slumber or meditation or appreciation, you let go of the cork and it bobs right back to the surface where you naturally belong. So what we're wanting to say to you is that while you do, everyone does, you have some beliefs that are not serving you. The source within you knows who you really are and what you really want. In other words, all day, every day, as you sift through the contrast of your experience, you are launching these rockets of desire. I don't want to be rude. I want to be kind. I don't want others to be rude. I want others to be kind. I don't want to not have enough of this. I want to live in prosperity of health and dollars and so forth. So as you've been launching these rockets of desire, these vibrations have emanated from you and have added to this vortex of creation that you were when you were born. That pure positive energy, all-knowing, powerful, worthy being that you are. When you made the decision to come into this body, you didn't come to fix things that were broken. You know there were not any broken things. You came for the joyous experience of joyful expansion. And so there was a trajectory. There was momentum. We call that your vortex. It's this vibrational reality that has the potential of manifesting, but you have to, in your conscious awareness, be in a vibrational place that is in harmony with what's in this vortex. So some of you have been listening to us for a while, yes? And you've been hearing us talking about law of attraction and how powerful it is, and how there's no exclusion. And even though there's a war against drugs and a war against cancer and a war against teenage pregnancy and a war against and a war against and a war against, a war against poverty, a war against, the war against terrorism, a war against, all of those things are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Not one of those wars against anything is making anything smaller, because there is no exclusion. You cannot push it away. You only bring more of it to you, you see. And so the key to the happily ever after that you're wanting, the key is to clean up your focus. But you can't just all of a sudden stop thinking something that you've been thinking, because law of attraction is bringing thoughts to you like the ones that are most active. So you've got to find ways of deactivating what you don't want by going general, and activating more and more what you do want, becoming more and more specific. You see what we're getting at? If you find yourself in the middle of a conversation about something that you do not want, stop talking about it as soon as you can. That helps. And in time, you'll stop talking about it. You'll stop thinking about it. You'll stop attracting it. You'll stop being part of that. Your point of attraction will shift. And that's really what we want to talk about here today. We've enjoyed this interaction more than words can explain. And we want you to know that these thoughts have never been before unto all of the universe. We've stepped into new places as a result of who you are. The universe has expanded as a result of this combination of thoughts and desires and beliefs. This expansion is what we all live for. In other words, we are eternal beings, all of us. We will never cease to be. And since we never cease to be, there's no place we're trying to get. All of that we think we're going to, you especially in your human form, is because you think you will feel better in getting there. But once you get there, then there'll be more and more and more and more and more. And so what we want you to leave this gathering really feeling, and you're in a place where you can get it easily, is that in all of all that is, there only is and only ever has been and only ever will be right here,